to Divinely Human, where divine wisdom meets everyday life. I'm your host, Sarah Asha Rose, therapist, author, and spiritual teacher. This is a space where psychology meets spirituality, where we explore healing, self-trust, and the journey of remembering who we truly are. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's explore what it truly means to be divinely human. Hello, and welcome to Divinely Human. So today's question is, who were you before the world taught you who to be? Deep inside of every one of us is the truth of who we are. And slowly but surely, as we grow up, we are taught to discount that, discredit that, forget that. And sometimes we lose direction inside of us of what was meant to be very natural, very easy. Our purpose, our passion becomes clouded. Today's topic is just that. Welcome, everybody. This is a show where we explore spirituality and humanity as both parts of us, both divine and human. I am your host, Sarah Asha Rose. If you haven't been here before, welcome in. Every week we go live and I give you sort of a reflection and a question. We do a little practice and then we bring on our guest for today. So today we're going to be talking about life purpose, life path, but also career and how we connect our career to our life purpose. We're going to be joined by someone very special to me. He is my cousin and my dear friend, Eric Miller of North Star Career Development. He helps people with their career and their direction, specifically young professionals, but everyone really. And we're going to be connecting with him on his experience of how to help people with their career and their life path. But before we do that, before we bring him on, I want to start today's show with a question. Who were you before the world taught you to forget who you are? So we're going to do a little practice today, sort of a little meditation to remember that. And if you're watching and this topic resonates with you at any point, you feel like you lost your path, you lost your purpose, you lost your passion, you don't know where to go, you've been in circles round and round, please feel free to comment. I do read the comments, and please feel free to let me know that this topic resonates. I love to feel your energy. I love to hear your questions. So before we begin the reflection and the meditation, I want to say that I have been through loops and circles, constantly forgetting who I am and remembering who I am. And I want to say, if that's you, that is all of us. We are here to remember the truth of who we are. And we lose focus of that because what happens is, as we get older, all of the noise, right? All of the noise, the programming, the conditioning from school tells us we have to be something other than what we naturally are. So it causes confusion, especially for those of us who are really creative. How many of you were naturally creative? When I was young, I used to put on puppet shows for my family. I used to twirl around telling everyone I wanted to be a ballerina waitress. And I struggled as a teen and adult with what I wanted to do, but I always knew that I wanted to help people and make them feel good. That's all I knew. But somehow that wasn't enough. How many of you resonate with that? This natural inclination. I wanted to write, I wanted to draw, I wanted to create art, but that natural desire, that natural expression of who I was sort of became clouded with these expectations of dun, 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 making money, right? So all of a sudden we go from being these creator beings, these little children who create very naturally with our imagination, right? A child's imagination is their reality. That's how we create. And then as we go through puberty, we get older, we're in school, all of these expectations fitting in, right, becomes more important than being who we really are. And something that comes very naturally to us, right, becomes complicated. And that trips us up for the rest of our life. If you're watching on YouTube, you resonate with this, please let me know, because this is something I've struggled with my whole life. Something that was always very natural to me was writing. And then by the time I got into high school and college, well, you want to be a writer, how are you going to make money, right? You want to be an artist, how are you going to make money? So the things that became very natural to me became very clouded with how am I going to make this happen in real life? Instead of naturally, organically following that path and letting it unfold the way we do when we're children, we're taught that our path has to be very linear. And that's why I'm excited to talk with Eric today, because he works with so many young adults. And he's going to share some of his experiences of how damaging this is and how he helps people remember that that passion is inside of you. So I want you to open your heart to this question. Who would I be before the world taught me that I needed to be someone else? And what we're going to do is we're going to just take a brief moment to go back to a moment in our childhood. And if at any point during this reflection, during this little blip of a meditation, right? If you don't know the answer, don't search for it, right? Just let it speak to you. I want you to just go back. Imagine that you're on a cloud, right? Just floating on this beautiful cloud, taking a nice deep breath. And let this cloud transplant you to a moment in your life. It could be childhood. Maybe you were a young adult. Maybe it was just any time in your life where you were doing something just for the sake of enjoyment. Something that came very natural to you that you could do all day long. What was it? Where were you? I just want you to go to that moment and just be there. Were you in the garden? Were you planting seeds? Were you putting on a puppet show for your family? I have a memory of when I was in Disney World with my parents, and I snuck away from them. I dove into the deep waters where I wasn't supposed to go, and I went down the water slide by myself. And when my father found me, he said, "Where were you? Did you go on that big water slide?" And I said, "Yes, I went on it 3 times." And that's who I am. I'm courageous. That's naturally who I am. I don't think. I dive into the deep water. That's who I am before I learned fear. So who are you? Go to that moment. Let your subconscious present that moment to you. See what comes up for you. And you might not remember in this moment, but something may come up for you this week as you ask that question. And if at some point you have a memory of when you became tripped up, of when you doubted yourself, of when you took a wrong turn, or when you made a mistake, or when you didn't listen to your intuition and took a wrong step on your path, I want you to go to that moment too and give yourself a little love and forgiveness and compassion, because our life path is not a linear path. It is cyclical. We return home. We're always returning home. Every closed door leads to an open one. Every wrong turn leads to a next right turn. So give yourself a little grace, compassion, love, and forgiveness for the times you made the wrong turn. And taking a nice deep breath into that. Thank you for showing up today, everybody. Give yourself a moment, take a drink of water, get some tea, and we're going to welcome on Eric and have a beautiful conversation with him about career and life path and who we really are. Welcome to the show, Eric.
It's good to be here, Sarah. It's good to be here. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah.
Super, super stoked.
Yeah, awesome. So I always open up the show and I ask my guests, what does being divinely human, what does that mean to you? What does that, how does that show up for you?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, right? So I think for me, it's understanding what my um, natural gifts, abilities are, and how I can leverage those to just better those around me, right? Like
Hmm.
to be present, to be focused on supporting those that are around me, and that's what I do every single day. Whether it's students
Hmm.
that I'm lucky enough to work with or animals out in nature, it's like literally just being present and being aware.
So it sounds like being your authentic self or
Absolutely.
showing up as your authentic self.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and it took me 49 years to get there, but not quite
Never
that long.
too late.
But never too late,
Yeah.
which is why I love the work that you do, Sarah. It's so important.
So I love that you said it took me 49 years because I'm going to ask you about that. So the episode, right, is called Who You Were Before the World Told You Who to Be. So when you hear that question, what comes up for you personally in your life and in your professional life?
Yeah, and so I'll tell your beautiful audience what I've told you a whole bunch of times. So, when I was a child, right, it was always about give. It was always about curiosity. It was always about learning what made others show up and want to play and want to share toys and want to,
Hmm.
learn from one another. And then somewhere around the age of, I don't know, 11,
Yeah.
12, you
Yeah.
start deviating. You start saying, "This is mine and not yours, and I'm going to be
Mm.
this." And
Mhm.
I started to carry that forward, and that carries forward into academics, and that carries forward into sports, and I'm going to be the best. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be our
Mhm.
best, but I should, qualify that as we should be lifting up others. So anyway, it was this constant rat race of being better, doing this more, more, more. And
Mhm.
that carried forward into college and outside of college, right? Into my first
Mhm.
job. I was a, consultant over at Accenture. How can I be the best consultant? Then it turned into I was in financial services. How can I be the best there?
Mhm.
And how can I, take and climb up this corporate ladder?
Mhm.
Um, and you know it very well, and I'll tell your audience now. That all was a massive reset when around 6 years ago I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. It was a wild slap back into how I
Mhm.
was when I was a child. Only now I was armed with a lot of awareness into the world, as awareness into how career paths can be and can support people or hold them down. So
Mm.
I took all of that and and reset.
Mm. Wow, I love that. So there's so many things that you touched on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that it's like you were saying, you got caught up in this quest, right? Like this quest to be more, to be better, to
Hmm.
you sort of lost touch with that you were enough as a child. What do
Yeah,
you think
it would.
took you away from that?
I think it was the ego, right? It was, you know, some of the ideologies that started when we were growing up back in the 80s, right? Where it was more, 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 right?
Consumer. Yeah.
Right. And listen, I'm
Consumer
not,
mindset.
this isn't about bashing, big businesses. It's not about bashing capitalism or anything like that. But it is like saying, if you can find what you're curious in, if you could find what you're passionate about, and you could figure out a way that that plugs into those around you, then everybody is lifted up versus a game
Mm.
of I'm constantly wanting to, just be this island unto myself and rise up within corporate America, rise up within entrepreneurship,
Mm,
having a let's do work together, let's be something
mm,
together becomes much more fun and much more elevating for everybody. And that harkens back to those childhood playground days when everybody is kind of like
mm.
this team
Want to be
together
my friend? Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
Sarah, and rises up together. And
Right.
that's a lot of the work that I do with individuals now. It's not to diminish your individualism. It's how can you plug that into the greater society at large.
So yeah, so you're saying so it went your own life experience mirrored that. So you went from living sort of like being an island
Yes,
of seeking more, having more, climbing up, success, more. But it sounds like you're saying that was sort of like isolating
it
or
was. Yeah, it was
yeah.
very isolating. It was very lonely. I mean, you'll hear it with entrepreneurs all the time. It becomes the most lonely game out there,
Oh, that's
right?
true.
But it doesn't
Yeah,
have to be, right? If we start
right,
to think of us as we are plugged into how we
right,
once were on the playground,
right.
you can lean on somebody that has marketing expertise. You can lean on somebody that has, the ability to see,
Mm.
the world in different ways that are complementary to how you are.
Right, so we're talking about, right, like I have to do everything on my own
Yeah,
versus I can make connections, I can connect to people and I'm not alone. And I think that's also, we're talking on a career level, but that's also very spiritual too, isn't it?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah, because
mean,
you're going from the ego of I'm all alone to I am love, I am connected to everyone and everything, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And once you start seeing individuals through that lens, as much as you can, right? Because our ego will always creep in there little ways, but as much as you can see that, you're going to accomplish bigger things by alone and with others, whichever route, you go. It's just a
And
wonderful thing.
then you had said the prostate cancer, is that's the thing that really helped you remember, right?
Yeah,
It put
yeah,
things into perspective. Is that what
yeah.
you mean? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hope, listen, while that worked for me, and by all means, I was starting to get that realization, of like, what am I doing here on this path? I was certainly learning a lot. I had fairly interesting roles, that I was doing from a corporate America perspective, but the idea was always to go out on my own so I could start benefiting those around me. It's the
Mm,
cancer, though, without a doubt, accelerated that and also really reframed how I saw things, which is,
mm,
you have only but so much time on this earth to do a lot of good things. Eric,
mm,
you better start doing them like really fast, like right now.
mm. Do you see when you work with people, and I'll have you in a little bit explain what you do, but when you work with
Yeah,
people, do you see people going through that same process that you went through of like, I have to be better, I have to be more, I have to have success,
yeah,
and then sort
yeah,
of being like having that tower moment of having it all crumble, like people who get laid off or and they want to control things and they want and they can't and they have to
yeah.
do you see that with people, like what you
All,
went through kind of?
all the time, and we'll talk eventually about it. But 83% of Gen Z is burnt out. That is a really, really, really scary statistic.
Wow,
Really,
83 already.
it,
There's
already, already burnt out.
already. Wow.
That it just goes to show you that's how in need of repair a lot of our corporate structures are. Because this is the first generation. That's why I love working with them. They're the first generation that says, No, something
Yes.
needs to be fixed here.
Right,
It's
they're not
amazing.
willing to sort of settle for the same, "You have to do it this way, bust your ass, work a 9 to 5 job for 30
Right.
years in order to get a pension," and, they're
Absolutely.
questioning things. Right.
Absolutely. Which we
They're
all should have
questioning.
done, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't erase that burnout. that they're already feeling, right? It's the navigation of that plus this ideology of like, why are we doing things this way? It's interesting.
Why do you think that burnout is? What do you think that's about?
I think it's and you saw it a little bit in the millennials, right? It's this was the playbook that we were taught. Go from high school, go to a college, from college, go to a job, work beyond 9 to 5, sacrifice family, sacrifice all this stuff. By the time you're in your mid 30s or late 30s, start a family, get a
Right.
house. And now millennials are getting laid off in record numbers. More, they're getting attacked. And then the same thing with Gen Z. They're seeing this, right? So now if you're a millennial and you're like, I played by the rules, I've been laid off. What the
Yes.
heck? And now, because that's the generation right in front of Gen Z, they're seeing it and they're just like, why am I going to play by those rules? And they
Right.
have every
Why do I
right
have
to
to,
to question.
right? Why do I
They have
have
every
to
right
live
to
that
question
way?
it.
What, right. It's sort of like each generation sort of rejects the previous generation,
Absolutely.
right? But I think, but I think that's happening even more so now because of the way the world is changing,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Right, the way that you can go on Instagram and be an influencer and,
Absolutely.
become an entrepreneur. The older, like the boomer generation might not understand. They didn't have access to that. It's like changing the whole world, really.
Information now moves faster than ever, which is why a lot of the work that I'll do with organizations is literally talking about how each generation communicates with one another. Because we both know it, most problems arise because people are either sending messages or receiving messages in disparate ways where they're not understanding it fully.
Right, and with the speeding up information well, of the information, I think is the burnout too, right?
Of course. Yeah,
The
of course.
overload of all these things I have to be or do, and the constant overload, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a phenomenal book called The Anxious Generation that starts to go into a lot of that. And I encourage definitely everybody to read it. It's an alarming read, but it talks about like just the consumption of digital media and what it does.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that I'd like you to talk about too is how you sort of help people match what they want to do, like that natural inclination inside of them,
Yeah.
with what is in the real world, so to speak. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
How that comes.
yeah. So, I mean, I'll give a really quick example, right? Um, So I like to ask the question, what are you passionate about? And that gets a little bit oriented, but certainly sometimes you can't make money from what you're passionate about. That's just the reality of the world, sadly. So the next question I ask is, what are you curious about? Like, what if, at the end of the day, what would you want to like scroll on your phone or go, of all things, go to a library? Hopefully people still remember those amazing places. Like, what are you going to be curious about and want to learn more and evolve more and really practice? Now, if you could orient those to your passion plus what you're curious about, that's a wonderful thing. It starts to just unlock
Yeah,
different,
connect. Yeah,
right?
naturally. Right.
Naturally, right? So I'll never
Yeah.
forget, there was one individual I was working with. I said, what are you curious about? Legos. He said, Legos. I said, amazing. Like, what about them? Like, is it
That's
putting them together? Is it the manual? He said, displaying them. Tell me more. Tell me. I love to display them around my parents' house. Tell me more. What? I love to set up ones for the holidays. I love to set up ones for birthday celebrations. It was
that's
a
so interesting.
presentation thing. And let
Yeah.
me tell you, Sarah, what wound up happening is we talked and talked and talked. He wound up getting an internship as an assistant curator at a local museum. Why?
Oh,
Because
okay, that's
it
really
all
interesting.
it all kind of like
Right.
lined up. So if you could figure out ways to say, okay, these are the things I'm interested in, and then
Yeah,
how portable those are. So in this case,
right.
Legos presenting to museum artwork curation installations. It's
Right.
wonderful.
Right, so it's a
That's
very playful, natural thing. Oh, Legos, but somebody might dismiss that and be like, you have to grow up and stop playing with Legos.
yeah.
Get a job.
Which completely is the wrong way you want to do. It's a great if that, they're saying that it's a great way to shut somebody down. It's a great way to see, okay, these are the
Right.
constructs and we're going to operate versus let's see what those patterns of thinking can unlock.
Okay.
It's
All
a
right, we're going
wonderful
to
thing.
take a quick commercial break and be right back and continue the conversation. Have you ever felt like you knew exactly what you wanted to say and then talked yourself out of saying it? Maybe you've questioned an intuitive message, or rewritten a post you wanted to share, or convinced yourself you're not quite ready to share what you know with the world. You see, most women think that they need more confidence or a better message or some other strategy that's going to teach them how to be more confident. But I don't believe that that's the real problem. I believe your voice has been shaped by unconscious survival patterns that once kept you safe, but now keep you hidden. And that's why I created my free voice archetype quiz. In just 2 minutes, you'll discover the unconscious pattern that's been quietly shaping how you trust yourself, use your voice, and share your gifts so you can stop second guessing yourself and start remembering the woman whose voice was there all along. Visit quiz.sarah-asharose.com and take the quiz today.
Uh-oh. I can't hear again. Uh-oh.
Check your mic, Sarah. I can't hear you. No, sorry, I still can't hear you. Double check your mic.
There we
Because
go.
I can hear Eric. Can you hear Sarah? Sarah, I'm not hearing you. Eric, you can hear me, correct?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, Sarah, we can't hear you. No, still no sound from Sarah. Eric, while Sarah's trying to get that to work,
Sure.
why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Follow
Can
the
you hear me
program.
now?
Yeah,
Yes.
there you are. Here we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Shake your head yes so she can know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sarah,
what's
we can
going
hear
on.
you, but she can't hear us. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Shake your head yes.
This is the beauty
Yes.
of
I
live
can't hear you now,
transmission. Uh-oh.
though.
Did you take your earphones out? Sarah? Live radio, folks. Live television.
This is the
It's all
beauty of
good. It is technology. So
no.
we
Can you
can hear you, but you need to be able to hear us. Check your headphones. Can you hear us now? We can hear you.
Yes. Okay. Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yes.
Yeah. There was a problem with my headphones when Eric was speaking. It was like a very high tinny noise. So I had to take them out, and I guess it messed up the audio. So sorry, everybody.
We're back. We're back. That's
Rolling
all
with the
good.
punches. It's life. It's real life.
This is live
Okay.
radio.
So okay. So the person the person you're talking about with the Legos, you said
Mhm.
Legos, right?
Yeah.
Was that a younger person?
So he was 19. So he was
Okay.
in
It was like,
college, getting an
okay.
MPA, getting an internship. So it
Yeah.
was phenomenal.
So when they're that age, right, there's such pressure, right? There's so much pressure to like figure it out to make like this huge life decision, life choice. Um, what is the work that you do in helping them, make that life choice?
Yeah, well, first of all, taking the pressure off that it's a life choice, right? That's the first thing we eradicate.
Yeah.
Um, you know, when people, first of all, let me rewind back to high school. I work with high schoolers to say college may be an option. College may not, we've talked about this, right? College may not be an option.
Oh, okay.
Going into civil service, the military,
Yeah.
that's an option. Volunteerism is an option. Going straight into the workforce is an option. Certification programs at community colleges are an option. The only option I tell everybody that I don't want you doing is sitting at home at night just scrolling. That's the only thing. Do
Oh,
everything else except
yeah.
that.
And why is that so detrimental?
Well, because it's not really advancing anything, right? Like
Right,
if you're just scrolling and doing nothing, you're not really getting any value or information that you could use to start propelling yourself forward. So it really starts there, and then the work continues on. In the past, you know, people saw careers as very linear. If I
yes,
go if I go to pre-med, and there's really
yes.
only about three of them that are linear. There's a doctor, a lawyer, and a teacher. Everything else
Mm,
is a complete zigzag. And I'll even argue that the path now to become a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, even that has
yeah,
deviations. So the first
yeah,
thing that we got to do, we were talking originally about 83% are stressed or burnt out, right? Of
yeah.
this of new generation Z and Alpha. We have to remove that. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you are starting to understand and gain awareness, gain knowledge, that's a good path forward, right?
Yeah.
That's what we need to start doing. Those are the
Mm.
conversations. When I'm working with parents and
Oh,
I
I was
do,
gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
yeah, when I do lots of big seminars with parents across the U.S., the first thing I say is eliminate the question, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" It is the most paralyzing question
Mm. And
there
why
is.
is that so paralyzing, do you think?
Because there is no one set way to get to
Mm.
that. So if I
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
which I did way back, I
Okay.
want to be an astronaut.
Right,
Maybe I went to the Air Force. Maybe
right,
I was an engineer. Maybe I was a teacher, right? There's
right.
so many different ways. If we
Mm.
say I want to be this, that's a
Yeah.
great way to just freeze a person right up.
But I think what I love about what you're saying too is that if you say, I want to be an astronaut, someone like you would say, well, what do you love about that? Like, what is that about that that appeals to you? But, if you don't have that, if you don't have anyone sort of like nurturing that out of you, it's like, well, that's unrealistic. You
Right,
can't do
which is
that. Right,
what we do. And that's another way to paralyze a kid. Oh, hey, you come from a long line of financial advisors, or you come from a long line of
right,
Wall Street people. You're going to be a Wall Street person. Well, maybe,
right,
maybe not. Or,
right,
everything else is considered a failure if you're not that.
right.
These are
And
these
and
are
if
the
I
things.
and if I'm a super creative person and I do many things and then what do you want to be becomes so much pressure because I want to be everything. I want to be all I want to do all these different things.
Right, right.
Right?
And that's a whole other thing, which is why I blend executive function with the coaching, that I do, right? So it's not just about career development, it's about executive function because if you have so many ideas, that's great. We don't want to diminish that, but we do want to focus it, right? So
Right.
there's a lot of prioritization, there's a lot of okay, here's how we can start working and introducing those various pursuits, those insights into something that feels very channeled, that feels very
Mm,
methodical, and
mm.
paced.
I think this is a good segue to talk about maybe ADHD and how you've seen I know you've helped me a lot with that and but how we could talk about it in adults and younger, young adults, but how do you see that show up in the work that you do and how do you help people sort of like deal with that challenge? And is there an uprise of that, do you think? Increase?
70 at any given time, 70% of the individuals that I work with have diagnosed ADHD.
Wow,
Um,
70. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
so it's a very real it's a real thing, and it's just one more thing that we have to work through, which is why executive function and career development are, to me, they're completely intertwined. I have three frameworks that I work with. Um, I work with ways that we can harness the good that is ADHD into productivity versus, you know, I have 1,000 ideas and I'm going to do 1,000 of them kind of like not really well. Versus I have 1,000 ideas, great. We're going to pick a few of them to do really well. And it's not to say the other 997 are bad. It's just we're going to get to them at another time.
Yeah.
It's the focusing
Mhm.
and ultimately really having each individual see the value in that focusing, which is why, you know, each of these three models that I have, one of them will work. You know, ultimately one of them will work, but there has to be a buy-in from each individual because they're all different. They need to
Mm,
see the value in, okay, this is how I'm seeing progression
mm,
within my pursuits. But
yeah.
ADHD is it's real.
I like the progression. I think one of the things that Eric taught me and I think is really useful is that when you have ADHD, right? So I was diagnosed when I was a kid, and that was never really taken seriously. I guess my parents never really told me until I was an adult. And I was like, oh, that explains why I am the way that I am. But there's this compulsion I need to have everything done all at once. And it sort of can be very crippling because I need to do all these 20 things. And one of the things you kind of taught me was like create sort of like this working list where you're seeing the things that you're getting done. So you have everything you need to get done, but you're seeing, and as you get something done, you're moving it like to another part of the list of, and you're kind of
Absolutely.
seeing, you're seeing, oh, I'm actually getting things done. I am doing things, and it sort of satiates that
Yeah,
compulsion to see everything happen all at once, right?
that's right. That's right. Yeah. And for all your listeners on right now, the Eisenhower matrix is another really good one, right? It says it's going to rank things by importance and by urgency. And I'll say to everybody that is going to entertain even doing that Eisenhower matrix and putting all the tasks and the things that you're doing, start
Right.
everything as low importance and low urgency. Start there. Start everything there. And then
Oh,
at
yeah.
any, right?
Mm,
Because what happens is we, especially ADHD individuals, they start everything in high importance, high urgency. And that's a recipe for getting nothing done. At any given point, three things should be in that box. You start everything low. That's not to mean that they're not things you don't have to
and
worry about.
why do you start with the low?
So I start everything there because at any given point, the object is to move things around the board, move things into high importance, move things into high urgency, or ultimately into high
Oh,
urgency and high importance. If you start everything there, that allows you to move things focused in a focused way around the board.
okay. So you're sort of starting at 2 and working yourself up to like 8 instead of starting at 10 and then becoming like burnt out.
Yeah,
Right.
you want to
Yeah.
focus yourself, especially if you have ADHD. You want to
Right.
focus you because you're great. You're great at so many different things. We want to
Right.
focus you to be great, great, great at a few things at a time.
Right. And I think because there's so many things we're balancing, right? So many things we have to get done, so many things we want to get done, and balancing work and family and self-care, right? It's very easy to burn out,
You
right?
said it. And
Come
now, yeah, and let me hold you there, Sarah, for a second, right? Like if you say self-care and family, so many people don't do that and they don't have that in high importance and
right,
high urgency. And so
right,
now when you layer in five things from a career perspective to do, something's going to give. Or you're just not going to be present for your family. You're not going to be present for yourself.
right,
You're not going to be
right,
present for your career. It's they're
right.
all intertwined. That's why I say
Which is kind
life
of what you were
work
saying
balance.
before. That was what you were
Hmm.
saying before too, when you were just going career, 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 success,
Hmm.
success. You were disconnected from those other
Absolutely.
parts of your life, like walking in the woods, like just going to get ice cream or right? All of
Ab-
the things that
ab-
nurture all the other things that we want to do, right?
Absolutely. And you know me with ice cream. Like if there's ice cream, I'm there.
And the woods.
And the
Because why?
woods.
Why the woods?
Why the wood? Well, it's funny. Like why the woods? It's the most grounding thing in the world for me. It's the most return back to childhood as I ever can be. Going for adventures in the woods, and it's another thing, Sarah, that I tell people is somebody's playing video games may be their woods, right? But figuring out that place where you could just decompress and reorient yourself to the moment, to the being
Yeah.
present,
Yes.
everybody needs to find theirs.
Yes. And because for me, nature, it just is, right? There's no rush, right? Everything happens on time as it should. The leaves come back on time, right? They don't stress, are my leaves going to come back? The ocean doesn't stress about the tide coming in and out, just does, just is. There's that force that's inside of you, right? So that's why we need to go to the woods
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
reconnect to that. And I think, especially with technology, with all of the information, with AI, with everything speeding up, right? Like speeding up.
Hmm. You need a
Um,
moment to slow down, which is why I love the work that you do. And your following is so lucky to have you because you give people the tools to help slow down, to help orient, to help discover, rediscover what individuals have lost.
and
It's
how do
still
you think
there.
what I do and what you do are connected?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have? I think you and I both come from a place of give. And I think you and I also come from a place of um, being present and being curious. And the work that you do centers around self discovery, being curious back to yourself.
Mm.
And I think they're two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, just in different ways, right? Helping
Just in
people
different.
remember who they are, but in different ways. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and of course, and we're the same with this too. Just kindness. We need a little bit more kindness and compassion. It's
Mm, a lot
okay.
more.
Yeah, it's okay to make mistakes. And if I say nothing more on this wonderful time together right now, it's we need to be more forgiving of ourselves and each other when we make mistakes.
Oh,
Picking the
absolutely.
wrong Picking the wrong job is a moment in time. As
Mm.
long as you've learned the pluses and the minuses from that, you've done a good job.
Do you
Take it
encounter people who shame themselves
all
or
the time, all
yeah,
the time. And what I'll say to them is ignore the title, ignore the
yeah,
company name. What did you get out of that? Did you learn something that you didn't like? Oh my gosh, I don't like being behind a computer all day. Great. Now you know for your next job, maybe it has to be more environmental or maybe it has
yeah.
to be more customer facing. Great. You've learned something.
Right, you
It,
learned something. It was information. There is no
it's
failure.
There's
Right,
never a failure. And I know,
right.
oh, Eric, there's always no, there's not. I promise you,
No,
there's never a
everything
failure.
is
The
learning.
failure is if you don't learn from something. That's a
Mm,
failure.
right.
If you ignore something, because then the pattern will continue. If you don't like being behind a computer doing data analytics all day, and then you take another job doing data analytics all day, guess what? You're going to erode. And that's when they need to really listen to you because you'll help get them out from that. But as long as you're moving forward, as long as you're listening, it's a good thing.
Right. It's all just information. It's all life experience. Every door that right, people who get laid off. I know you work with people who get laid off,
All the
right?
time.
Every door that closes is, and there's a lot of shame with getting laid off and fear, right? Panic, fear.
Yeah. So once again, to all your beautiful listeners, the only thing that happens when you are laid off is you're just missing a title. I get the
Mm,
economics of it. I say that all the time. I get the economics, but all you're missing is the title, all the experiences, the competencies, the network, the skills that you've developed. You still have them. You're going to be
mhm.
able to take them to your next job. It is a trauma that you're going through, but all you're missing is the title. And the
Right.
quicker you could realize that, the quicker you're going to be on your way forward into a great new profession.
And I think sometimes when people have worked so long in a job and they start to just sort of like define themselves by that job, and then they lose like a sense of who they are, like a sense of self, right?
Yep. Yep.
It's it's like I wanted to ask you, so if someone listening today feels disconnected from their career, their job, and they don't know what direction to take, what's one thing that you would encourage them to do like this week? Like what's one thing that they can do?
Stop for a second.
Okay.
Put away all the digital noise that's around you. Close the laptop. Put away the phone and just think for a second. If you can get rid of everything, all the noise around you, what is the one thing that you are curious about, that you think you're pretty decent at?
Mm,
Look at that. Look at those skills. Look at those competencies. And then Google to back into the job titles, to back into the professions that is part of that.
okay. So you're
But
saying start with the desire, start with the good feeling first instead of searching for
yeah,
the,
because if you search,
the job title first,
yeah,
right?
there's too many distractions. And guess what? In another 5 years, there's around 90 million new jobs that we don't even know of right now. So why even try?
That's
That's a
true.
true statistic from the Bureau of Future of Work.
That's
Sorry.
crazy.
hmm
Wow. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and what kind of work do you actually do with clients and what kind of clients do you take on?
Yeah, so really quick. So anybody can find me at northstarfollowing.com. That's my website
And then you
on
should see it
LinkedIn.
scrolling on the bottom,
You,
everybody.
you should see it scrolling on the bottom. I'm on socials at Career Therapy by Eric. That's TikTok, Instagram, um, and then of course all over the place on LinkedIn. Um, the work I do is predominantly focused on two demographics. I'll coach anybody, but two demographics, which is early career individuals and then individuals who have been laid off. Um, Both are going through a trauma. One is the trauma of acclimating to the workforce, and the other one is a reacclimation and almost kind of like a I feel less than because I was identifying as this company when I should be really identifying as wonderful things that I do, and the company was lucky to have me. Um, I blend executive function with career development to make sure that individuals are starting from a place of stillness. I know you say that a lot. They're starting from a place of stillness where they can really start to focus on, okay, here's what I could bring to this world. Here's some of the things that I am good at. And then we put really actionable steps behind it. It is not just, all this fantasy work or anything like that. It is we're
Right,
going to start from a
concrete.
place of and
Yeah,
then really build an actionable plan all around it. So
that's
that's me.
amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. And if you had one bit of wisdom to share to close the show, what would you share?
Follow Sarah because honestly, it's we really and I mean that. I really do. You have a way of bringing people, I'll say, into focus.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'm sorry about the technical glitch. It's real time. There are no failures.
No,
um,
never.
there are no mistakes. As always, you can connect to me at Sarah Asha Rose, sarah-asharose.com. You can take my quiz and you can connect to me, connect to Eric, and remember that you are divinely human, that you are living as a divine being in a human body, having a human experience. There are no mistakes, there are no failures, and the truth of who you are is always inside of you. Until next time, I will see you next week. Thank you so much for being here, Eric. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. However this episode met you, I hope it reminded you of something you already knew, underneath the noise, that you are exactly where you need to be. Until next time, remember, you are and have always been divinely human.